4 years ago, we started To Go Roam with one goal: to inspire you to plan for retirement and live your dream, whatever that might be. Now it's your turn. I asked for your questions about retirement and full-time travel, and the response was incredible. The questions flooded in, and today I'm diving into your most burning ones. Welcome to the very first To Go Roam live session. Let's get started. Hey, welcome. So this is the very first live stream. It's a bit nerve-wracking, but that's what we're here for. I'm going to get straight into it though. I'm not going to waste any time or waste your time. So let's just kick off with what I've actually had come in from you. Now, I said in the last video, if you've got any questions, I think that video annoyed a few people because I went on a little bit. I went on a little bit there because I wanted to give you a whole breadth of areas that you could think about how you could ask a question. And wow, did you deliver? 66 questions at a minimum. I know more have come in since I've put all this together. So if you put questions in kind of in the last couple of days, they may not be in here, but they will be answered. And the categories that they've come in on, there were 5 in a health category, 19 on money, 5 about the world of pre-retirement, 10 about retirement life, 11 about our life, 14 about travel, and 2 about YouTube. And the good thing about these questions are they're real. So one thing that you'll need to know is I've not actually read these in detail. What I've done is I've just had the 66 and then picked a selection of them that I can cover off in this live stream. So you may see that there are typos in there. Whenever I put comments on things, I'm always leaving typos and that kind of stuff as well. So don't worry about the typos. That's because I've not gone through and really tidied it up. I wanted it to be raw, really, so that you see how it really is. So what am I going to be doing here? Well, we had questions from all of these people. So if you see your name on screen here or your YouTube handle on screen, then what I can tell you is your question will get answered, which is pretty cool. There are, as I recollect, 66 names on screen there. And again, any that you asked after the cutoff, which I think was probably Wednesday, they will get answered as well. But I know this is a live stream, but we can't go on all day, can we? So how is this actually going to work? Well, what I've done is I've selected 30 of those 66 questions to answer. They're not, what's the word they use or the phrase? They're not cherry picked. They're basically the questions that I thought I should have a couple of health, I should have a couple of pre-retirement. There are a lot about money, so a few about money and a few about post-retirement. So I just picked out 30, but the others will get answered over the next month, because what I plan to do after this live stream is to record a series of videos. I'm in Spain at the moment, a series of videos where I'm walking around in Spain, showing you somewhere lovely and answering the remainder of your questions. If, however, you have any questions during this live stream, then by all means ask them. If you could just put them in with a Q and a colon, then we know that that's a question. And my producer, I have employed a producer for today's show. She's not the best, but she's already caused me a couple of issues, even while we've gone live here. So she's not the best, but she'll do. It's Sarah, and she'll do well if you put a Q colon in front. So I'm going to answer as many of those that are submitted in the live stream. But if they're not submitted, if I'm not able to get to them here, because I don't want to go on for hours and hours and hours, because you'll all just disappear, I will answer them in those follow-up videos. So another thing is, at the end of this live stream, there will be a poll and a giveaway only for the live viewers. So only for you. Sound good? Hopefully that's useful. I'm just going to say to my producer, is there any points of order before I get kicked off?
Just the likes and the...
Oh yeah, so Sarah's told me an important thing that we need you to do. I've put so much work into this. You won't believe the amount of work I've put into making this all look good. But if you're enjoying the live stream, then it would really, really help if you could just click the thumbs up on here, because that will mean that after the live stream goes out, more people will actually get to see it. So if you don't like it, I guess you can give it a thumbs down. But if you don't like it, just leave, but up to you, your choice. Also, another key point to realize is that this is my opinion. So the video is informational and entertainment purposes, which I guess is a laugh, because how entertaining is this? It's based on my own personal experiences and opinions, and it's not intended as professional advice. Always do your own research. Now, to be clear on that, I'm not giving you any advice specifically about money, but if what I talk about today is the thing that makes you say, damn it, I'm going into work on Monday and I'm going to jack my job in, that ain't my fault. You need to do your own research. Okay, so that would be really helpful if you could do that. And a last thing, before we really get into this, how do I do this stuff? Is if I hide that, and if you do want to support To Go Roam, a couple of ways you can do it. This feels weird doing it, but YouTube allows super thanks, so I'm not asking you to do it. I'm saying don't do it, in fact, but you can do a super thanks, which is just to thank us for what we do. And we've got a very excellent Patreon community. If you want to be a part of that, then by all means join up there. Right, I'm going to just move into these questions because I'm as excited about this as Sarah is, and hopefully you are as well. Let me get that thing off the bottom of the screen there. We'll go back to this and let's go straight into it. The first question is from Melissa Bagley. And she said, my concern is running out of money and the correct withdrawal plan to keep things going as long as you need them to. What spreadsheets do I use to keep track of everything, including inflation? So, Melissa, that is a great question to kick off with. And what I would say there is, I'm doing all these things myself. Sarah's not doing this, by the way. I'm clicking all the buttons so things change. Here's what I did. So I knew probably 10 years before we retired that was the goal, to retire early. And for me, that gave me a huge amount of energy. So much, not much energy to work, but plenty of energy to think about how my retirement is going to be. So in so doing, I'm a bit of a spreadsheet guy. I love spreadsheets. You can sit me down in front of Excel or Google Sheets and say, have a play with that for an hour, and I will happily have a play. I'll do anything in there. So what I did is I set up a spreadsheet that basically listed at the time all of our incomings, all of them, Sarah's income, my income, all of our outgoings, and then I put it down for year 1, year 2, and I mapped all the way from wherever that was. So I was probably 45 at the time, up to the age of 93. And here's where I think it was fun. So at the age of 93, I got to that point thinking, well, I don't think I'm going to live much beyond 93. So I thought if I plan that far ahead and the numbers still look good enough, I'm going to ignore it. But why this was a fun thing to do, if you enjoy spreadsheets, is that I was actually living each one of those years. So what I would do is I'd say, let's say at the time I thought, right, I'm going to retire at the age of, say, 55. Well, at 55, what I've got to do is simulate that year. So I would say, right, my income switches off. Sarah's income switches off. So we've got no income coming in now. We've got the money in these pots. Inflation, I'm going to assume, is at 1.5%. How wrong was I? So I need to increase the cost of living by 1.5%. And then if I add up all of those pots, and if I'm going to take money from those, it reduces by this much. But my expected return on those pots is conservatively 6%, adventurously 10%, hopefully 8%. And then I had that as a factor in the corner of the screen as well, so that I could switch it. So I could just move it from 8% to 6%. Oh, running out of money there as I go down, or I'll change it to 10%. Oh, when I'm 93, I'm going to be the oldest man on the street. So the nice thing about doing it for me was I was simulating every year. So as I was simulating at the time, Sarah and I had discussed the fact that we're going to travel for 10 years. So I'd simulate travel for 10 years. And then I'd simulate let's say at the age of 65, well, 65, we're going to slow down. We're going to have some big holidays, and we chat about it. And I'll come on to this in a couple other questions as well. That'll be good fun as well. And then at 67, the state pension, UK state pension cuts in for me. So that reduces what I need from here. That's great. And then in 2 years after that, Sarah's state pension cuts in, so I can reduce that one as well. For me, it was just fun. So they're the spreadsheets that I used. If you're thinking about what tools that you could use to do this for yourself as well, I'll just put the question back up here if people don't know what it is I'm talking about. Some other tools that you could use. There's a website, and this isn't a recommendation. I know nothing about it. I'm going to type it here now. A website called f.i.r.e. It's a really, really fun tool that you can use to try different drawdown strategies and different things that you're doing with your money. So I hope, Melissa, that helps a little bit. Unfortunately, I'm not able to see any of the comments because I'm like spinning multiple plates here. I will see all these comments at the end, and Sarah's looking at absolutely every one. And I know that there's questions coming in. Sarah's already marked 6 of them for me to get to. So what I'll do is I'll do one big question, and then I'll do a question from the live stream, and then I'll do the next big question like that. Hopefully that will make sense. So let's see what Sarah got for me here. So we've got a question here from M&T. Slow travel or fast travel in retirement, what do you say? Well, quite simply, you will find your own pace. And this is a question that will come up actually later on. I know this is one of them out there, but we've done it all. So if you saw our Island series, then in the Island series, by the way, I'm talking about the Island series. If you don't know, let me just show you something here. Goodness gracious. If you don't know, we do also have a travel channel, which is To Go Rome Travels, and I would absolutely adore all of you to go there. Not because we're all about getting them as many subscribers as possible, but that's where all the fun happens. That's where we get our most joy on YouTube, is on the travel channel. So over there, we just did a kind of fast travel tour around Ireland, and we love that for doing so in a car. If you're doing it by taking trains, that's a little bit harder, but I'll come on to that one in a bit more detail later on, because I think I'll be able to answer that one better. So I hope that answers it to an extent. It's kind of saying a bit of everything, really. If you're joining, by the way, I just want to put this back up here to say this video is for informational purposes only. It's based on my experiences and my opinions, and not intended as professional advice. Always do your own research. But what we're going to do now is get into the next question. And the next question is from Oleora Landa 1259. Gotta love it. I'd like to ask about how to break bad health habits to improve the health in time before you retire. Sarah's laughing that you're asking me this. I have a sugar addiction, which I believe comes from boredom and a way to handle when not being content. Right. So on that, absolutely, I can totally feel your pain on that, because I've always had a struggle with sugar. And in our first 4 years of travel, it's so much easier to get fast food or street food than it is to go to a market and buy food and bring it back and do all that kind of stuff. So I absolutely feel it. What I would say, though, is you've got to know your triggers. You've got to know why you are open to that kind of stuff. And as you say, it could well be boredom. So if it is boredom, then maybe what you need to do is think about ways of getting less bored. So look at what hobbies you can start, or to improve upon the hobbies that you've already got. A lot of and I've got, this is going to be for another one later as well, distraction is key. So if you've got lots to do, for me at the moment, Sarah as well, we only ever eat twice a day. And I think that's always a surprise to people, certainly when they see my gut. But we only eat twice a day because we're just too busy. We've got so much to see and do. So if you could do that as well, And also maybe look at replacing the sugar with a healthy alternative. So you can look at healthier alternatives. So for me, for example, I like it in crisps, or if in the US, that'd be chips. But replacing that with carrots and hummus, I love that. Anyone who used to work with me, I know there's at least one person in here now, will know I used to do that every day, sat at my desk, and I think it used to really annoy people because I was like a rabbit going crunch. So I know Andy is here, so he may be able to attest to that. So that's something you can do as well. But the other thing is, most important thing is your why. So why is it that you want to reduce your sugar intake? So for me, I've got an amazing life ahead of me, and I think that's what it's all about. You've had an amazing life to get to where you are today. You've been to, oh, I've got coffee here, by the way. 2 sugars. Oh, that's nice, Sarah. It's nice coffee, that. So I've got an amazing life ahead of me, is my opinion. I'll go back to that thing. So it's my opinion only, that I've got an amazing life ahead of me. But I want to make sure that I'm going to be fit enough to enjoy it. So coming back to the point about To Go Rome travels, we're going to be sharing this year. Sarah and I have got some very, very hard goals for ourselves to get fit, get healthy, and just bear with me, everybody. So to get fit and to get healthy. So if you want to see how we go about doing it, because it's not going to be easy, then do have a look at To Go Rome Travels and see how we are going to do it over there, because I think it's going to be a struggle for us, to be honest. Okay, well, hopefully that one has been helpful. So, let us know in the comments. Are these kind of answers helpful to you? I'm going to move on to the next one before going to one that's been submitted on the live stream. So Kirk Ledbetter has said, I'm afraid of sequence of return risks. Our plan is to winter in Southeast Asia for the first 5 years and come back for the summers to try and minimize our spending and hopefully retire earlier than we could otherwise. So, Kirk, I feel your pain totally. So where Kirk says, I'm afraid of sequence of return risk, a quick explainer for anybody that's a new phrase for them. Sequence of return risk is before you retire, you can think about how much money you need, and you say, right, this is the pot of money that I need. And let's say, for a bit of fun, you've decided you need 5 million quid, right? You need 5 million quid, and you've worked out and you've got 5 million quid. If your first year, you've got that 5 million quid, and in your first year, there is crisis all around the world, and your fund plummets, like 1923 in America, your pot plummets from 5 million, 95% down to 50,000 quid or whatever it would be. That's what's called sequence of return risk, because it drops down. That 5 million goes down to, I think it's 25 grand, drops down to 25 grand, 95% drop. And then you need to take 25 grand in your first year. Well, you've run out of money. So that's the concept of sequence of return risk. Now, I'm not saying that that's something that I want anybody to be specifically worried about, but that's the concept that Kirk is talking about here. And I feel that pain totally, because when Sarah and I retired, the first thing that we thought about was we really hope the first few years are easy on us from an investment perspective. And I'll give you a bit of insight about sequence of return as well, something that I've not heard anyone else speak about, which I think would be useful to everybody here. But the sequence of return for us in our first couple of years was good. I think it was above our expected return that we would get on our investments. So that was good. Now, I know a lot of people who, like when we started, we went to Mexico first because Mexico had a good low cost of living, and also during COVID, it was a place we could go to for 6 months and hunker down. But also we headed off to Asia. We spent, I think, about 6 or 7 months in Thailand. We spent about 5 months in in Malaysia as well. We went to Indonesia. We did all of that, and chatting to other people that do the same things. There's friends of ours, and they spend a lot of their time now in Southeast Asia. Hopefully they'll be watching this live stream at some point. And talking to them, I know that they had that fear as you do. So I would say, first of all, Southeast Asia, a great solution. But if we come back to the 4% rule, 4% rule, for anyone that doesn't know, is basically in your first year of retirement, you take 4% of your fund of cash as your drawdown amount. I'm going to use the word million, not because a million is how much you need or blah, blah, blah. It's just because a round number I've got to think off the top of my head. So a million, if you take 4% of that, that's 40K. And the way the 4% rule works is every year after that, you just increase that 40K in line with the inflation rate. And that's your income for effectively the remainder of your retirement. That's basically how it works. The thing is, Kirk, and to anyone else that's worried about sequence of return, we are not robots. We're human beings. And Sarah and I discussed this at huge length before we retired. And that is, let's say we had 40K we could spend in our first year, and the markets plummeted, so that sequence of return was against us. Well, at that point, when looking at the second year, what would you do? Well, what we discussed was, would we say, right, we had 40K, so next year it's 40 plus the inflation rate, say 10%, so it's 40, we take 44K. Or would we say, why don't we spend a year in Southeast Asia or somewhere else that's a lower cost of living, and why don't we just buy ramen noodles and just live carefully for a year? And I think that's what most people actually do. They realize that they can flex their lifestyle rather than having something that they're kind of structured and have to do for the remainder of their lives. So that's the question. How do you manage sequence return? I said there's a thing people don't talk about with sequence return. Let's have this though, because it's gone cold. These people should be sponsoring us. We got a Tassimo coffee machine, amazing. With Law coffee, amazing. So, you know, people talk about sequence of return is in the first few years of your retirement. Anyone else retired? Comment on this, would you? That fear never goes away, because you might be 5 years. Well, we're 4 years in. We're 5 years in, aren't we, Sarah? Are we 4 years in? So we still worry about it, because your number starts with what the number is today. And then today you're thinking, what if next year's a bad year and it plummets? What do we do? And I think when I'm 70, I'll still be thinking of sequence of return. That'll still be a phrase that's buzzing around my head. Hopefully that is helpful. So I'm going to answer a question now from the, okay. I'm going to, Sarah, would you do me a favor? After I've answered one, remove the star from it. That'll just be helpful. Right. So the next one's Simon Durant. Inflation has accelerated significantly since you planned your retirement. Yes. Does the plan still work, or do you need to adjust for later years? Yeah. Oh, not. Yeah. Good question. Again, I'm sure there's something coming up shortly on that. Yeah. So I think if somebody had said to me 5 years ago, here's what's going to happen with inflation over the next 5 years, Sarah and I would probably have thought long and hard about our plan to retire early, and maybe have put it off for a couple of years. Now, when you look at the financial marketplace or the financial world, what you find is that there are conflicting things. Conflicting is not the right word, but there are different elements that play against each other. For example, if the stock market drops, often the bond prices will increase. I know that didn't happen a couple of years ago, and bonds are a little bit screwed at the minute. Well, confusing at the minute, let's say, and what's happening on bond rates. But often when you see inflation go up, inflation going up will often mean that people have to spend more on goods. If they're spending more money on goods, then the income for companies increases, which means that the value of companies increases. So all of these things play a different role on that. And I would say that our return on our investments has gone well. It's not amazing, but it's gone well and has kept us on track. If, however, they hadn't and they'd stayed flat, we find that we spend so much less in retirement now than we ever thought we'd need to. And I'll be explaining more about that later on as well in the live stream. That isn't a concern. So the plan does totally still work, and is as nailed on as any plan could ever be. Short of a geopolitical crisis where the last thing we're all thinking about is money. We're all thinking about how we can get some potatoes to trade them with other people. Other than that happening, I think we're pretty kind of nailed on. Hopefully that helps there, Simon. So anyone that's joined, let's see how we're doing. So we've had 53 likes, but there are 120 viewers on here. It would really, really help us if you just took a moment to like this live stream if you're enjoying it, if you're getting any value. It's the first one I've done, and so other people can see it after the live stream. Those likes really help. And also, for me to do more of these in the future, I need to know you like it. Quite simple, really. If you do want to support us, entirely up to you, not telling you to, but if you do want to support us, then you can do super thanks in here, and you've got access to our Patreon. I say you've got access to our Patreon. I don't know if I've linked our Patreon below. That's how good I am at this. let me tell you what our Patreon is. Let me put it in the comments. So our Patreon is there you go. It's in the comments coming up now. Right. Let's move on. Would you also do me a favor and just say in the comments whether you're enjoying this, and Sarah will kind of give me a sign to tell me that people are enjoying it. Right. Let's move on. So coming back to the questions, let's put these back up. The next question is from Mike's Travels. His question is, if you wasn't receiving your YouTube income from ads, would your current situation be sustainable? If so, what's the one key thing that's made that happen? So basically, Mike is asking whether, I guess, YouTube is enabling us to live the life that we're living. So I'm going to share it here. We've never shared it anywhere else before, but I just think it might be useful. Or Sarah's just said something that I think will be useful if I just show this on the bottom of the screen here. So we've had our channel now for 4 years. So before the live stream, I had a look at how much money we've earned from YouTube and how much money we have spent. So we've spent on, for example, 2 laptops we're using here that we use both of those entirely for YouTube. We don't actually need laptops. If we didn't have YouTube, we wouldn't have laptops traveling the world. We just use our phone. There was a laptop that wasn't up to the game, so that was another one that we bought. We have lost count of the number of cameras that we've had and then resold at a ridiculously low price, and some that we haven't got around to reselling yet. We've had so many mic systems. This is the current one that we're using, which is called the Hollyland Lark M2, which is very, very good. But there are others in reach distance of here. So we bought many, many mic systems. The software that we edit the videos on, subscriptions for the videos, things like getting the music into videos, they're all licensed. You've got to pay license fees. We got a website that we don't make a lot of use of. So all these things add up. So how much money we have earned on YouTube when looking at the costs and returns over the last 4 years is about £15,000. So call that 20,000 quid. Call that £5 grand a year in USD, or about just under 4k a year in British pounds. So can we get by without that? Yeah, we can, absolutely. So somebody said in another comment, they said something like, you're not being, it was a really respectful comment, there was nothing wrong with the comment, but they said something like, you're being totally transparent because you're not saying that you wanted this as a side hustle, and you should really say that. Now the point is, a better side hustle would have been for us to, as we travel, have one laptop and use that to teach English to foreign students, which is a really, I think, a really great way of earning money. The reason we do this is because we want to help. It's as simple as that. Totally that. But and the reason is because before we started our travels, let me just put that back up. Before we started our travels, I was watching YouTube, and Sarah was watching YouTube as well, and we were trying to get information on this lifestyle. And there's plenty of young people who've got nothing to lose, I guess. Lots of people traveling the world where if it all goes wrong, they can go back and find a corporate job. But, you know, jacking in your corporate job at our age and maybe your age is a big cost, because imagine you go to an employer and you say to them, yeah, so basically, jacked in my last job to travel the world for 5 years, had a YouTube channel. Yeah, I need another job now. At a kind of corporate level, they'll go, well, he seems a flaky character. So that's why we do what we do, is simply to help other people, older people like us, to learn how we did it, to inspire others to live their dream, whatever that may be, whether it's travel or whatever. Okay, hopefully that is helpful. Let's get another question though, shall we? So now we have a question from Slani. Hi, if you would, can you say on average how much you spend per month? That would help me, and no doubt others see the cost of having no fixed abode. Right, that's a really, really good question. I'll leave that up there. Can you read all that? Yeah, Sarah says it's a bit small. So I would say on To Go Home Travels, I feel like I keep pushing stuff. I'm not pushing anything. It's up to you what you do. But on To Go Home Travels, which is our travel channel, that's where we talk about travel, and that's where we talk about the finance being on the road. So we recently did a series in Ireland, 12-part series in Ireland, and shared there that we spent £5,000 on that trip around Ireland. And as we go through 2025, we are going to be sharing all of those costs as well. Sarah and I have been painstakingly, we've got to write the rule book yet. We haven't written that rule book for ourselves. Looked at how we are going to structure our budget for 2025 so that we can share it with you effectively. So we've actually got ourselves 3 budgets for 2025. We've got one which is a Spain budget. So if you're unaware, Sarah and I bought a house in Spain about a year ago, about roughly this time last year. We were on a TV show and all that kind of stuff. And the costs of doing this is very different to the world travel stuff. So we're going to put that in one area so that we can share that with people that are interested in it. We're going to have another bucket, which is for things that are us, which are unique. So what we pay for our travel insurance, for example, or flying. So if we fly from Spain, we're in Spain at the moment. If we go from here to Bangkok, for example, we won't include that in our Bangkok budget because it's, you know, you might be flying to Bangkok from Vietnam or from the US. So the numbers don't really help, but we will have those numbers available for you to see. But the one that I think you will find really useful is the budget of our location cost and how we manage that. If you want to see that, the next video, which would be on Wednesday, but we've got Sarah's sister and her husband coming out to see us tomorrow in Spain. So we're entertaining, so we're not going to be doing any YouTube. But a week on Wednesday, we're doing a video which is all about how we are budgeting for 2025. And I'm even going to be using things like Lego bricks and things like that to explain it. And when you understand how we do it, you might go, that's really clever. I like the way they're doing that. So we'll see. So if you want to see that, head over to To Go Rome Travels and subscribe over there. And speaking of subscribing, if you've not subscribed here, if this is your first time on To Go Rome, subscribe here. It's totally free. Which is very nice, isn't it? Are people enjoying this, Sarah? Did they say that? Yeah?
Yeah.
Does anyone say they're not enjoying it?
No.
Anyone saying hurry up?
No. Still time.
Oh, my coffee, ain't I? Right, I'll put that there. I was worried about spilling that on my laptop, to be honest. Right, let's have a question from the live stream. So next, John Davidson. Since the markets have done relatively well since you retired, do you think you might be out of the woods in terms of sequence return risk? Yes, John. You never know. You know, there may be some geopolitical crisis where, you know, we're all screwed. But yes, we have no woods. You know, we're in plain, clear land. And I'm not selling our other channel, but if you do go over to To Go Rome Travels and we explain in our next video how we're budgeting, you'll probably see there why it's so good. And I don't want to push it too much, but I think when people see that, it may well change their perspective on travel totally. I'm quite excited about that one. Okay, I'm going to do one more before going back to the main ones. So we've got one here from a fella called Andrew Pimer. Andrew Pimer, I worked with, a very close colleague of mine. I'd like to call him a friend. He'd like me to call him a friend, but just like to keep a respectful distance. He has visited us here in Spain, and I would love people in the comments to congratulate Andy because he's literally just handed his notice in at work and is retiring, which I'm over the moon about. Andy has said, do you have any annuities as well as a drawdown? No. I don't like the finite element of annuities that you decide that this is how much money you have got to have for the rest of your life. I know there are different ways of setting them up, so they're index linked and so on, but Sarah and I have got such a flexible lifestyle that annuities don't really work for us. So for example, annuity rates are really good at the moment. If people are looking at annuities, then now could be a good time to do it. This is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, blah, blah, blah. Let's just throw that on the screen and let's get rid of that. So, but yeah, so if you want to do it, then fine. You do need to look at the fine print. You do need to shop around for them as well. But for me, it doesn't have the flexibility. The nice thing about retirement is if you go into a drawdown situation, that doesn't negate your ability to go to an annuity later. So it may be, for example, when we do slow down and when we do stop traveling and as we do settle down and we know exactly what our lifestyle is, at that point, it might be a good time to buy an annuity for us. So I guess I'd never say never, but it's not something we're looking at, to be honest. So let's go back to the main questions. The next question is, how are we doing for time? Is that 45 minutes?
5 minutes.
That's not bad, is it? Right, the next question in the category of Sarah and my life is from David Evans. Hello, David. Why do you consider it essential to travel when you retire? Everyone's different. I do not think it is essential to travel. So I think what you may be confused with is because we travel and we talk about how excited we are about travel, that maybe you're thinking, I want everybody to travel. That couldn't be any further from the case. I think at the end of our videos, what we say is, our dream is world travel. What's yours? And that's simply because I know it's not everybody's. We've got really good friends who no desire to travel whatsoever. I mean, I don't sit down for hours on end trying to convince them to do it. It's a lot of hard work. If your dream in retirement is gardening, do it, whatever it is. So there is no push from Sarah or I to travel in retirement. You do you, we'll do us, and everybody will enjoy their lives. So let's move on to Colin Mason. Colin Mason says, if you could go back 5 years in a time machine and start again, what single thing would you do differently, if any, with the knowledge and experience that you have now? So, and Colin's thanked us both. Right. If we could go back 5 years in a time machine, start again, what would we do differently? Well, first of all, I am going to write a novel in the future, not in any time soon, but I'm going to write a time travel. One of my most interesting things I find most interesting is time travel. And I've got this, I've already structured it. It's all ready to roll. No one's going to buy it, obviously. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, with this question, I did actually say to Sarah, what would you do differently? And she told me quite simply what she would do differently is to have prioritized health and fitness at the start of our travel journey. So that is to say, as you travel the world, it gets tough because you can't join gyms everywhere you go. So you've got to travel and exercise at home. And if you're traveling quite fast, you'll get to a location. Sometimes you've got hotel rooms where there's not even a floor for you to do anything on. You just got a bed, and once you put your bag down, you can hardly stand on the floor. Or you get there and you've had a long flight and your back's aching the following day, and you're thinking, well, we need to go out and see the area. That's been a struggle. That's why we are focusing on it this year, and that's why, if you want to see all about that, I recommend you go over to 2 Gram Travels, because that's where we will share all of this stuff. So that answers it for Sarah. For me, I guess what I would say is, if I could do it all again, start again, I would say that I would just have taken less stuff. We were idiots. We were both of us, but I think me more so than Sarah. I think I said in the last travels video that when we started traveling, I had a pizza tin. Yeah. But because I used to work in resilience, I took 2, because you thought, what if we both want a pizza? So I took 2 pizza tins, traveling the world. I'm an idiot. Why am I having a live stream? Why are people listening to me when I make silly decisions such as that? So there we go. I'm going to move on to another one from the group here. And should have come up. There we go. From Wienam Chia. What is your withdrawal rate? Wow, you can't get any more direct than that. I like that you kept it succinct. Do we have a withdrawal rate? So we don't have a withdrawal rate as such, and I think most people that have already retired are the same as me and Sarah on this, and that is that a withdrawal rate is rule-based. I did talk about this in a recent video on 2 Go Roam. A withdrawal rate is a rule. So let's say my withdrawal rate is 4%, for example, and let's say that gives me 40k. It doesn't, but let's say it does. Then that's a rule that I've set myself. So next year I have to take 40% plus increase for inflation. Well, what if next year we're planning on not doing much and we only need 25k? Well, the rule says I'm taking 4%. Or let's say we've just had a year where we've done very little, we need 25k, but next year we've got some big plans and we want 60k. So we flex totally. So we don't have a withdrawal rate as such. What we have is a pot of cash, and we have a budget that we operate to, because we plan our year ahead of time. So I hate to do it because it sounds like I'm pushing it. I am not pushing it. You do you. But over on 2 Go Travels, the very next video will explain exactly how we budget. And then you might be able to extrapolate from that how much money we might have, even, because we'll be given an average of what we spend. So that'll be over on 2 Go Travels. But it's a really good question. Thank you for that one. I'm going to move on to the next one from the questions in the week. And this is from Death Metal. I love that. I absolutely, don't we love that? Someone's come up with a really good name. Death Metal. Nice. I think my biggest concern is a classic running out of money issue. I've done a lot of planning and thinking over the last 12 months. Your channel and others have given me a different perspective to consider, but the uncertainty around how long my wife and I might live and what we might need later in life is ever getting in the back of my mind. Obviously, you want to enjoy life in your go-go years, but how do you balance that with making sure you've got something left for later years? That is definitely an interesting question, and my view on that would be that don't worry too much. I think that one of the things that many people do, including Sarah and I, is we overthought early retirement, and we overthought how much money we would need, and it's a really easy problem to fall into. If you do that, then you're going to limit your life. Okay, so I would say when you get into retirement, you will realize that there is no safety net, and that's your concern. But because there is no safety net, you have an inbuilt safety net of your own. So you're not going to go out there buying a Ferrari and spending money willy-nilly and forgetting about your future life, because you know, if you're still working, you can think, well, I can go and get another job and I can do this. But when you hit 80, there's no safety. You got the old age pension or whatever you've got wherever you are. But that is the inbuilt thing that will stop you being an idiot with your own money, is my view. So I know Sarah and I are as far as we can get as being idiots with our money since we've retired. And I think you would probably be the same way, in my opinion. Right. Hopefully that is helpful. I'm going to move on to another question. Just bear with me while I have a quick drink. Right. Oh, let me just have a look at something. Hey, right. Listen, you lot. I've mentioned it before, and I'm going to mention it again. Can you, if you are enjoying this live stream, just give it a like? Because at the moment, if I look, I think we've had 99 likes. That's good. We might hit 100. But there are 136 people watching. So unless there are 37 people watching this and not enjoying it, I suggest you lot just go off and enjoy your day. Don't come and sit watching something you're not enjoying. But if you are enjoying it, then let me know, because A, it means more people can see this after it goes out. But secondly, it means, I'm energized to do another one. But if I'm thinking we had, over the period of the live stream, 250 people watching and only 90 of them liked it, and that says to me that most people didn't like it. You know what I mean? So I'd love it if you did that. Help me out. That helps. Next question is, I've answered that one. Yeah, good. Right, next question. Right, this is not a question. Let me have myself back in here. Right, the next thing, I didn't put anything into this live stream that wasn't a question, but this guy put this in, and I thought it was pretty poignant to read. And anyone out there that is thinking about working just one more year and all that kind of stuff, this is aimed at you, I think, and I would recommend that we all just take a moment to look at it. So I'm going to read it out. This is from Charles Lupicia, I think. Charles, thank you very much for this. He said, Neil, I hope you don't mind if I express some personal doom and gloom. No, I love a bit of doom and gloom, so don't worry about that. I'm sitting here in a hospital room not knowing if I will leave here. 1 minute, I'm sitting watching TV with my wife, and the next, I'm on my way to the hospital. I'm not going to get into the personal drama, but every awesome adventure begins with a single step. My point is that people might not have as much time as they think. My father died at 51. one of those guys that never missed a day of work. My youngest sister died at 64. So what am I saying? Not to you, of course. He's saying that to me, not to me, because he knows we've already retired, is stop erecting barriers. Just get out there and do it. Don't get me wrong. I've lived an incredible life, even if living from day to day can be a drag. When I was young, 73 now, my father invited my aunt and uncle to go on a road trip vacation to see the West. The doctor told my uncle he shouldn't go. He said he'd rather die traveling than die in his living room watching TV. A few years later, on another vacation, my father had terminal cancer. I remember him driving past a chapel at the Air Force Academy, and he said, "We may never pass this way again." If I get past this event, I'm hoping that there's at least one more adventure in me in the future besides crossing the Great Divide. Charles, thank you so much for sharing that, because when I read that, it stopped me short. None of us know what's to come for us. And it's very easy for all of us to think that we're going to be here forever. And even me saying to you in this live stream that I think with the very first question, I said, I've got an amazing life ahead of me. I don't know that. My life might be over in an hour. Who knows? None of us knows what's ahead of us. So don't be thinking that you've got time. You haven't. Listen to Charles. Charles, thank you so much for that. That is, that got me a little bit when I saw that. I'm going to move on to another question from the live stream. RC Scale Adventures. I like the sound of that. Looks like you've got a YouTube channel, I think. Since you don't own a UK property, do you have the proceeds from your sale invested separately to keep up with house price inflation in case you want to buy again? Yes and no. We sold our house and that money got invested immediately, but not to keep up with house price inflation, because decision Sarah and I have made is that we won't be retiring or settling in the UK. We've lived in the UK for 50 odd years, loved it. It's a big world out there, so we want to see more of the world, and we will settle at some point. And probably when we do settle, it will be in a place that is a lot more cost effective than the UK. So if we look at the money that we've invested, if that's increasing in line with our investment return rate, which let's call it 7-8%, that's generally higher than house price inflation, and will get us into a position where we can buy a property that we want to have in a country that we want to be in. That's a really good question. Right, so let's lose that and move on to another one that was messaged in, and this is from Kathy Goodwin. Do you have travel insurance and also health insurance of some sort? So Kathy, we do use travel insurance, and I've linked to it in the description below this video. We use something called Safety Wing. It's a nomad based insurance. There are many providers out there, so choose the one that you like. Why we like Safety Wing is we've made 2 claims on Safety Wing and both got paid out, no questions asked. So when you read reviews on insurances, what I always look for when reading a review is so many people say, oh, it was amazing, it was a really good website and I could set it up quickly, their customer service is wonderful. Very rare that you actually see one where someone says, I made a claim. So if someone wanted to give me money, I'm great at receiving money, but it's when I have to provide a service is when it's really important. Do you know what I mean? So with Safety Wing, what we like about them is A, we made 2 claims and they paid out on both of them, but B, most insurances don't work if you're traveling full time. So that is to say, they look at it from a trip perspective. So you would say, I'm going to go to, I don't know, South Africa for 2 weeks or for a month or even 3 months. If you go over 3 months, generally your marketplace for insurance reduces significantly from there. One of the things I love about Safety Wing is that you can make a change to it while you're on the road. just about every insurance other than Safety Wing, you have to return back to your home base to start again. So here's a classic example. We were traveling year before last, I think it was. We were in Thailand and we had Safety Wing, and we went from Thailand to Indonesia, and then from Indonesia to Australia, and we were down there, and then we got on a cruise ship from Australia, ending up in the US, starting in Vancouver, but then going into the US. Problem is, as you may well know, when you buy travel insurance, there's always a question there saying, are you planning to visit the US? If so, we're going to charge you a bloody fortune. So what I was able to do is to set the insurance up and have it working on a kind of standard travel insurance basis. And then while we were on the cruise ship, I was able to stop it and restart it with the US added. So it costs more, obviously, double, I think, but I'm not paying for all the US element when I'm not in the US. So it's switch off and onable, which I like about it. As I say, there is a link to it in our description below. If you click that link, then we get a kickback. I don't mind if you do or if you don't. That's up to you. Actually, on that subject, if you do or if you don't want to support us, then you always have these other options as well. So you've got Super Thanks or Patreon. But it doesn't change the cost. So if you click on our link, it doesn't change the cost for you. It just tells Safety Wing that we've sent someone their way. That's the only thing that we have an affiliate on. Okay, hopefully that was useful. Let's do another one from the live view. I'm going to pick this one here. Simon Edwards. How much money per year do I need to travel the world like you and your partner? I like the way you worded that. So if you hadn't ended it the way you did, I had a brilliant answer for it, but then you made it a bit more tricky. So a lot of people ask Sarah and I, how much money have you got? How much money do I need to travel the world? And all these other questions. And the answer is, how much money we've got has got nothing to do with anyone else. Do you tell people as you're walking down the street how much money you got? But secondly, when people say, how much does it cost me to travel the world? No, I don't know how you travel the world. But if you're going to do it like us, you need to, as I say, subscribe over on To Go Home Travels, because over there, in our next video coming out a week on Wednesday, we tell you exactly how we budget. And that is going to show you, I think it's 4 or 5 years. It's like 4 or 5 models that we use, and you'll see it there. So, if you want to see it, that's where you need to be. But that's a really good question, and we will be sharing it on To Go Home Travels. So hopefully that is helpful. Let's do another one that was sent in the last week from Viv Wotton. Viv has got several pension pots with, I like this one, with varying amounts. I don't want to get an annuity, but how do I best manage these pots once I retire? I'm not an investment specialist. I don't know where to start. Oh no. I've just spotted something. Right, let's lose that. Right. Ignore that. But that person didn't want a name check. I'm going to cut this out afterwards. Sorry about that. I'm going to cut it out afterwards. But what I would say is, now I need to see the question. I know. So what we did long before we retired was, long before we retired, on advice from my brother-in-law actually, was I'd worked in different places and had a little pension here with like $2,000 in it, another pension here with $5,000 in it, and all these little things everywhere. And the worst thing you've got to do is get all of those together. So get them all into one place, wherever you feel that place is right for you. So there is no advice here from a financial perspective, but for Sarah and I, the place that we thought was the best place for us was Vanguard. So we got all these little pensions, just transferred them. It's a real ball ache to do. It's no fun. Moved them all into Vanguard, and so you get all these little pots, they all come into one big pot. And then you do with that as you see fit. So whether that means that you put it with a financial advisor if that's what you want to do, or if you want to do low-cost index funds, which is what we do, then do that. But I would hate to be in a position of getting into retirement and then having to manage lots of different pots. Get hold of them now, get them now, put them in one place, and then you can manage them. When we did it, I found that a number of our pots were with a pension provider in the UK that will remain anonymous. I'm not going to name them. I don't want to give them any form of name check. And I looked, and over a 10-year period, my pot had gone down because their costs, and they had some fixed costs in there, actually ate away at my growth. To an extent, they were reducing my money. So the sooner I got that out of there, the better. That was horrific. There are some right shysters out there. Okay, let's move on. I do apologise for sharing something there that I shouldn't have done. Right, Ian Whitaker. Ian, welcome. Ian's been following us for years and years. We don't know him. We've never met, but he's been following us right back when we were in Mexico 4 years ago. So welcome, Ian. He said the Retirement Living Standards Report of 24-25 says you need net income of £59,000 for a couple to have a comfortable retirement in the UK. And the rapid inflation rate, cost of living increases we've had over the last 3 years, my question set against these factors is, what is the annual budget for you and Sarah to have a year of travel and living in the UK, Spain, abroad in 2025? I'm asking this question as my wife and I will be doing similar in a couple of years. So we're tracking the budget's expenses of other similar couples who are currently doing what we want to do, i.e. with a similar spending pattern, i.e. not f.i.r.e. F.i.r.e. is financial independence, retire early, and fat means, you know, you've got loads of money, or skin in fire, which is where you are just living on ramen noodles, but somewhere in between, fire. So thanks, all the best, Ian. And somebody called Martin Sheldon did comment that everyone's unique, and that is very true, very true. But what can I say about this? I'll leave it on screen because it's quite wordy. I can say, obviously, as I've said a few times now, that To Go Rome travels. In the next video coming out a week on Wednesday, we will be sharing exactly how we budget over the next 4 years. Really building that one up, but if you want to see it, you need to get over there. So that'll be really helpful if you did that. But I would say, to give you something on here, I would say that if you're saying 59 is what they're saying the living standards for a reasonable retirement in the UK now, we are probably a good 20% below that. What do I mean by that? You need to watch the To Go Rome travels in a week on Wednesday, and you'll find out. Actually, if you're watching this in the future, just go over there now. It'll be there, won't it? Hopefully that was helpful, Ian. Right. How are we doing for time? 1 hour and 10. All right. Another one from you guys watching. Living, working outside the box, which is a great place to live and work, unless you've got a box of windows. We are still 4 to 5 years out from starting our slow travel the world journey. Am I crazy to think I need to generate 15k a month to support a 4 to 5k a monthly budget? Am I crazy to think I need to generate 15,000 plus a month to support a 4 to 5k monthly budget? I don't understand the question. So it's difficult for me to answer. You what?
Still working.
So I'm going to try and answer it by saying, if you need $4,000 to $5,000, then let's say you need $4,000. No, let's say you got $5,000. 5,000 is 60,000. Using the 4% rule, if you need 60,000, then you would need 1.5 million USD to follow the 4% rule. So maybe that answers your question, but I'm not sure what you mean by generate 15k a month to support 4 to 5k, because obviously in retirement, if you're generating, are you thinking about inflation or other costs. I don't know. Tell you what you can do. Yeah, if you email me, live@tugarome.com, just say you're living, working outside the box, and just make it as wordy as you want. I will answer you there. Hopefully that will be helpful, but I'm struggling with the question a little bit. Right, I'm going to move on to another one from the week. This is from Nah for You Now. Nah for You Now. Did both you and Sarah want to travel for retirement, or did you have to convince her? How did you manage the transition? That is a bloody good question. So, did both you and Sarah want to travel in retirement, or did I need to convince her, or vice versa? How did you manage the transition? Love that question because it brings it all back, actually, and that's a pleasant memory. So, I would say when it comes to convincing, what this is about is to say to somebody that I'm going to convince you to totally change your life, totally change it. So go from a position where you've got a house with all the stuff in it you love to having no house and you're just on your own traveling in foreign lands where you know it might be scary. I don't think it's possible to convince anyone of that. So I was bored before Sarah for sure, but the way that we both came around to the same view on this was that I said earlier on that I got really excited about the concept of early retirement, and it's all I could think about, really. So what we would do as we went through the week, I'd be listening to podcasts to and from work. And on the podcast, there'll be a snippet of something I'll get. And when I get out of the car, I get my phone and I would just make a note in the phone, so somebody said there is a withdrawal rate called Guyton Klinger. Oh, make a note of that. Okay, that's interesting. That was really interesting. Or I'd watch a YouTube clip and there's somebody in Thailand, for example. That's really good. And I'll save that to a playlist. And Sarah wouldn't do it because she wasn't as exercised about it as me. And then Friday nights, we used to love Friday nights because on Friday, I'd cook. I was always the chef back then. I'd cook, and we had a big TV in our kitchen and a breakfast bar. It was a lovely kitchen that we had then. And I'd cook. I'd put the dinner down, a couple of glasses of red wine, maybe put the TV on, and I'd say to Sarah, "Yeah, this week there's this thing called Guyton Klinger, and it's a drawdown strategy. And the really good thing and the task that Sarah did here that I'd recommend any of you watching do this if you're still in the pre-retirement phase, is if there's one of you that isn't as knowledgeable, which is normally the case, use them. They are important, and tell them they've got a role. So I would say to Sarah, the Guyton Klinger, well, the way Guyton Klinger works is it's guardrails, and guardrails do blah, 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 blah. I'll explain it all. And the role Sarah would take, which is brilliant, she'd say, so what would happen in this situation? And I'd say, well, in that situation, this would happen. Blah, blah, blah. And she'd say, well, what? Oh, that makes more sense. So if this happened, would that be the case? I'd say, yeah, well, blah, blah, blah. And I go, oh, don't know, actually. I need to do a bit more research. So she would keep me honest and make me do more research to help her out. But then what we do is I'd say, have you heard of a place called Chiang Mai in Thailand? She'd go, what? Never heard of such a crazy place as that. Well, enjoy your dinner. There's these YouTubers, they were there. Let's have a look. And we look at it, and both of us together would start to realize how much fun for us travel would be. So I didn't convince Sarah. She didn't convince me. What we both did is we realized this was for us. And I knew Sarah well enough. She knew me well enough that if she wants it or if I want it, chances are we both do. I don't even convince anyone of stuff like this. Teamwork is everything. Hopefully, enough for you now. That was helpful. Let's do another one from the people. Okay. Oh, so Sarah's just giving me a little head up to get rid of that. Tell you what, if this is your first time here, though, you should be subscribing to To Go Rome. Totally free, crazy. But if you want this kind of real content, the reason why I'm making this live stream, by the way, is because we've been advising people and giving you insight into our lives of early retirement for all these years. But now I want to turn it around on you and try and help you more. Let's get these interesting questions and let me just fire them out with my views on them. And this could be an amazing resource. So if you want to join To Go Roam, make sure you subscribe. And if you haven't liked this live stream, I don't know what's wrong with you. Because if you haven't liked it because you dislike it, go and do something more useful. This is Saturday. Don't ruin your Saturday. If you are liking it, you're helping me by giving it a thumbs up. And everybody that has, thank you so much, because you're wonderful people. Right, let's go back to this question. What travel insurance do you have? Safety Wing is linked in the description underneath the live stream. And are there any time limitations for returning to the UK and using the NHS? So on the travel insurance, you can travel up to 364 days. So you'll need to return to your home country for 1 day and then re-trigger it to work for the following years. For the following year, any limitations returning to the UK and using the NHS? Is that a separate question? To use the NHS, you've got to be a British, effectively a British taxpayer. So as long as you maintain your British tax residency, then you will have access to the NHS. It's important you don't fall off the system. So make sure that you've got that. Hopefully that's helpful. Graham. We'll move on to another question. Sandy Cruz says, I'd like to know what suggestions you might have to help me get a spouse who loves his job. Oh yeah, I remember this now. And is concerned about boredom and lack of purpose in early retirement to get on board with full-time travel plans. And you need some strategies. So this one, I did a bit of work on this for you, Sandy. So Sandy would like to know what suggestions I might have to help get a spouse who loves his job and is concerned about boredom and lack of purpose in early retirement to get on board with full-time travel plans. Sandy needs some strategies, and I have actually done work on this for you, Sandy, and other people watching. So what I'd say on this would be you need to explain to your spouse that you may love what you're doing now, and going into retirement, it isn't a loss of what you've got now. It's opportunity for something new. I said this in a video recently as well, that retirement is a relatively new invention. And when retirement came in, basically people get a couple of years of retirement because they were knackered and then they die. But now it's another phase of life. Look, I'm 56 years old. Yeah, I know. I look 40, maybe 32. A lot of people say that to me. But yeah, I'm 56 years old. So with the best will in the world, I could live another 40 years. I could live to 96 potentially. So here's some of the maths I do. Let's say I live till 90, right? So 56, so that's another 34 years. 34 years. What I like to do, you do this as well. Think about how long you've got up to the age of 90, right? And rewind the same thing. So if I think about 14 years to go, if I go back for 34 years, I've got 34 years to go. If I go back 34 years from now, it's 56, 46, 36, 26, 22. 22 was another world. Now, I was another person back then. So you can see that you've got a huge amount of your life yet to go. So this is another phase. So don't think about what you're getting rid of. Think about what you're going to. The other thing I would say is maybe try it out, have a bit of a sabbatical, get a vision together of what you both see as your retirement and see it as your rebirth. But I said, I've actually done some work for you. So I'm going to show you something. Oh, Sarah wants me to take a banner off. What do we all think? Let us know in the comments. Is Sarah a good producer? I think so. She'd be a better producer if she was doing all that for me. Do you think? That'd make my life a lot easier, but there you go. Speaking of Sarah, you might not know who she is. This is who she is. This is the lady I'm talking about. That is me and Sarah took that about a month or two ago. And it's that girl there that I travel the world with. If you want to see more about what we do as we travel the world and all that kind of stuff, then make sure you visit To Go Home Travels. Anyway, I said I've done some work for you, and here it is. So, Sandy, pay attention to this. Have you ever seen this chart before? I almost made a video on this subject probably 4 years ago. I wrote the whole script for it, and then for one reason or another didn't get around to it. So this is a Japanese technique for basically working out why you get out of bed in the morning. Okay, so I'm going to work my way around here and then explain more as we go. So when you look at your life, this is a Venn diagram, so it all kind of fits in together. When you look at your life and what you should be doing something that you love. Okay, so your partner loves their job, which is great, which is good, but you can't do your job forever. So you need to realize that you're going to have to slow down at some point. So what is it that you love? Sarah and I, what we love is travel. What I enjoy is making videos, and Sarah enjoys being a part of those videos as well. So do something you love. Next, do something what the world needs. No, so that's not bad English. So the next thing you need to do is think about what the world needs, not do something what the world needs. That's pretty bad English. So if you say, let's say, I really enjoy making videos, but people don't enjoy watching the videos, I would probably not love them anymore. Okay, the next thing is do what you can be paid for. Now, this is the bit that when looking at retirement, you might say, that bit I don't need. That's the bit you're giving up. Okay, but in working, do something you can be paid for, that the world needs, that you love, and also something that you're good at. Okay, and often these things tie together. So let's say I really enjoyed sprinting 100 meters, but it'll probably take me about a minute and a half to sprint 100 meters. So chances are I probably would fall out of love with it because I'm no good at it, and no one needs me to be doing stuff like that. I think I could probably get paid for it. But anyway, so what does that all mean? Well, what you love and what the world needs is your mission in life. So for me, I see that this YouTube channel is my mission in life. I love thinking about this and helping other people. And I think that there are people out there that really need to hear these messages. So this is the mission. I could be paid for it, but I covered earlier how much we really get paid for doing this. We don't need the money, so we don't spend a lot of time looking at getting sponsorship and all that kind of stuff as well. But if you can be paid for it and you're good at it, well, that's going to be your profession in life, and that's what your partner is doing. And then if you're good at it and you love it, well, that's where your passion's going to be. A bit like probably me running 100 meters. I might love it, but if I'm no good at it, I'm not going to be that passionate about it. But probably someone like Usain Bolt, it probably was his passion. And this is something called ikigai. And this is a Japanese theory about basically what gets you out of bed in the morning. So quickly write down ikigai if you want to investigate this further, because it's interesting. So hopefully, Sandy, hopefully that's been useful to you. Okay, right. I'm going to move on, but let's just remember some things here that probably you should be doing if you're here. And that is, if you want to support us, we've got a Patreon. The Patreon is, let me just put it down here, is... that's our Patreon channel. If you're interested in that, I've put it in the comments. You can do super thanks as well. Entirely up to you what you do. And if you haven't liked this live stream yet, you're still watching it, why are you wasting your Saturday? So I would say either give it a like, because that way I'm likely to do this again. Or if you don't like it, go and do something a bit more interesting. Okay. If you do have something you want to ask me more about in more detail, by all means, email me at live@togorome.com. Don't email me at Neil or at info or at Sarah or anything like that, because I won't be looking at those. I've got this set up specifically for me to be looking at these. Okay, we are an hour 25 in. I'm going to go up to 2 hours. Watch the people just drop off as I say that. I'm going to go up to 2 hours on this and hopefully get to as many questions as I possibly can. I'm going to move on to the next one now from Lewis23 Snooker. So hopefully, Paul Lewis. Hopefully, Paul, you are enjoying the Masters that is on at the moment. Great. It's my favourite tournament, actually. I like the World Championship, but I think the Masters is the best. He said, me and my wife agree on our plan for the future. However, due to family illness, loss, she's more focused on living for today and spending lots today. How best do we strike the balance between spending today and saving for the future? Do you regret any of your sacrifices you made? Keep up the good work. Thank you, Paul. Right. That's a good question. Sorry, let me just, there we go. Good question. There's a couple that we met for lunch in Alicante in Spain a few months ago. They know who they are. They may well be watching this. And they got an interesting view on life. So one of them wants to basically follow the 4% rule, choose whatever your drawdown strategy is and go with it. But one of them wants to do that. The other one is thinking we can spend a lot more than that. Okay, so who's right out of those two? They both are. So you've got to have some control in life. Control is important. So if you just say, I'm going to spend, think about your younger years. You may be like me, where you would spend money and just not realize what you spent. And then you get to the end of the year or the end of the month and you go, where did all that money go? Or you look at your credit card bill and you think, have you ever done this? You look at your credit card bill at distance, you think, and if you just look at the numbers down there, you might look at it and go, that looks like I spent about £1,000 this month on there. Then you add it all up, and it's like £4,000. You go, what happened there? So you've got to have some control in place, but you've got to be sure that you're going to spend money and not just be the richest person in the graveyard. So for Sarah and I, when we started, I would say we were both very cautious in what we spent. There were a couple that we met years ago, before we even had a YouTube channel, I think it was, and we were having a chat with them. And this, I'll tell you a story. So one of them, they both retired. One of them is a project manager by profession. So one of them, he is the man. He'd retired and he said, never going to work another day in my life. Got no interest in doing it. Project manager was the wife of the partnership. And she still really kind of enjoyed her project management stuff. She was offered a contract. And if I remember rightly, it was working for 2 months for about $40,000. Offered that 2 months, $40,000. My reaction was brilliant. So you enjoy doing it, and nice. And he said, no, we're not doing that. It's what, 40 grand for 2 months work? Why wouldn't you do that? And he said, well, we've done our numbers. And when we look at how much money we've got, and they're not flush, but look at how much money we've got, we know that money that she would earn would only go, if you look at how much money they've got, okay, that money would only go onto the end of their life here, okay? And they believe that they're probably going to die about here. So that money is going to be, that money is going to be over here and probably never get spent. So they knew that although she enjoys project management, they enjoy world travel a lot more. So you do have to be just mindful that money is there to be spent. But what I would say, my suggestion to you is that because we all know that there is no backstop, you're in this for yourself. When you retire, everybody says the same thing. The moment you switch off the funnel of income and you're starting to spend money out every month, it's a very difficult thing to do. It feels really odd to do. And that's the thing that will check you. So I would say, this is not financial advice, but I would say that you will find your level between you. Because, there's another point on this, actually, important point, but you will find your level. The important point on this is, if you're the finance person and your partner isn't, make your partner understand the finance. Okay, so if so I've got a friend where one of the people in the partnership has no interest in money and isn't involved in the money at all. Their partner is spending significant amounts of time saying to them, you're being really unfair to me, putting all that on me because this is our money that you're asking me to look after for both of us. So forcing them to understand it. And once they do understand it, it's going to be really difficult for them to just, to coin a phrase, piss money away. Watch my language. Hopefully that helps. Let's see if we've got anything else here. Right. Bain 1410. So this is a fella called Michael. Hi, Michael. So has your TV show aired yet? If so, what was it called? We'd love to see it. So where I'm recording this from at the moment is in Spain. So although Sarah and I travel the world full time and will be doing so longer than 10 years, assuming we still retain our health, this time last year we bought a house. And the house is in Spain. The reason why we bought it, there's a whole story behind that. But we were on a TV show, and an hour-long show, which is all about us and our process. Now, when we were on the show, the people that we worked with on there, the production company, wonderful people. It's like a little family affair. It's a lovely thing. Really is really, really lovely. So what they said to Sarah and I was, we would really like it if you didn't share on your YouTube channel anything about it until it's been on TV. There's no contract. We can share whatever we want. They were very open with, you do you, doesn't matter. But they said they would love it if we would wait. Now, I said to them at the time, how long do you think it'll be before it'll be on TV? Now, we shot it in November 2023. And they said should be on TV within the next 6 months. So we're now a year and a couple of months beyond that. It's still not been on TV. I contacted the producer in December to say, it's getting a bit awkward now for our YouTube channel. We really do want to share what it is. Can you give us any information? So they're the production company, but the TV channel is a different entity. They have no impact over the TV channel, what they show. What they did say to us is, don't think you haven't been shown because it's not a good episode. In fact, it's one of my favorites we've ever made. And I think that the TV channel are just trying to find the right slot. They don't want to get it lost amongst anything else. So, Michael and anybody else watching this, when that is going to be shown, we will give you as much notice as we can. It should be a couple of weeks' notice we'll give you when it's been on TV. And once it's been on TV, we'll share so much, and we'll share a lot more about Spain. Hopefully, you all respect that. That we just want to respect the thoughts of the company we work with, because we like them. They're nice people. Right, moving on. So, Bon in Brighton. So this is Bonnie. Now, talking to TV shows, actually, it feels like this is set up. Bonnie was on a TV show a few years ago, because I remember you mentioning it, Bonnie, in one of the comments on our YouTube channel. So we actually went and saw it. So is Bonnie in the comments, do you know? Oh, okay. So I'm not going to share for people unless Bonnie doesn't want it shared. Okay, but she was on a TV show, a big TV show in the UK. And she said, I think many subscribers like me would be interested in interviews with other retirees you meet on your travels. It's a variety of stories that interest us because of the multiple solutions to the same problem. It's why we all follow a handful of YouTubers. I agree entirely with Bonnie, and there's nothing I'd like more than to be doing stuff like that. If you have a story to tell, if you would like to maybe have this as an interview with somebody on this show, then do email me live@togoroam.com, and maybe we can do something. So This would, I think, be someone that's already retired. Ideally for me, someone who's traveling, but doing it differently to us. You may be doing it on a shoestring. You may be doing it with loads of money, whatever. If it's something you're interested in doing, then do email me directly, as you can see on the bottom of the screen. And yeah, maybe we'll do that. I think that'll be a lot of fun, actually. So we will move on to another one from the live feed. Gene Volker. I'm very interested in your travel insurance recommendations. Sounds like I've set you up there because it's the only one we've got a affiliate to. If you look in the description underneath this video, Gene, you'll see a link to Safety Wing. That's who we use for our travel insurance. We've had 2 claims, and they were both dealt with perfectly. The nice thing about it is you can switch it on and off wherever you are. You don't have to be in your home country. Most insurances need you in your home country. If you use our link below, we get a kickback. Doesn't cost you any more. But if you don't use it, totally fine as well. Okay, hopefully that is helpful. So let's move on to another one that was messaged in during the week. And we have got here Carolina Abracadabra. Carolyn, I admire your standards regarding sponsorship. I'm tired of clicking on a video only to have to sit through commercial for Airlo or AG1. Yeah, me too. So you may see in a future video on To Go Roam a sponsorship, but we'll see. There's someone we're talking to, but I think it's one that you'll like. So don't worry about that. It won't be AG1 or NordVPN or Surfshark or blah blah blah. They hate that in videos. What I don't like in videos when somebody says, for example, yeah, so we travel the world and we get really nervous and go, oh, here we go, here he goes. We get really nervous about our data online. Oh, maybe you need a VPN. Oh, there it is, and there they've got a VPN themselves. So I've shared how much money we have made on the channel. Is probably about 15,000 quid, and we are getting offered daily, absolutely daily, sponsorship opportunities from companies. So some very big companies, some very interesting companies. Every time I look at it, I think to myself, I don't need it, and I just don't want people watching our videos and going, oh, here he goes. So the only way that you can support us is super thanks in a chat or with joining our Patreon. I've put that in the comments below. I can do it again. So by all means, you can do that. I just don't want to pepper our stuff with ads. Now, it may well be that over on To Go Roam Travels, we might do that because that's where we do stuff for fun. If you're enjoying this, then make sure you're giving it a like. I think we've had 137 likes, which is pretty cool, actually. If you haven't given it a like, then please do that now. If you're not liking it, go and do something more interesting. Blimey, for goodness sake. And if you do have anything you want to talk to us about, then stick it in an email to me. Let's have another question from the people in the week. Reb Java. Neil, how's your back doing? How did you fix it, or did you? It's hard to travel when it's painful on the move. So if you saw my video, oh blimey, when was that? March, I think, where I was in significant pain with my back. I'll never forget it. I couldn't move. I couldn't get out of a car even. It was so much pain. I would just say we got lucky. So where we're staying, where our house is in Spain, about a 5-minute drive from here, there is a physiotherapist, a guy called Victor, who's one of the loveliest people, Spanish guy, loveliest people you'd ever wish to meet. And he worked with me over a period of weeks and weeks and gave me a whole training program and got me over it. I'm still not perfect because I've got another injury in my shoulder when I fell down the stairs. That's another thing. But yeah, this is one of the issues of travel, that it takes its toll. And that's why, as Sarah said in answer to a question earlier, one of the primary things we're doing for 2025 is taking our health and well-being as top priority. And if you want to see, we will share that on To Go Home Travels. So by all means, go over there and see that. Let's see another one here from, okay, let's have this one here. RC Scale Adventure says, are you enjoying delivering live stream? It comes down simply to this. In the back of my mind, throughout this whole thing, I'm thinking, who am I to be saying this stuff to you? And then what my mind goes to is, if I'm thinking that, everyone sat here watching this must be thinking the same thing. So if I could switch that off in my mind, I'd love this. But I do think that people sit there watching our videos or watching me doing a live stream like this thinking, goodness me, it's boring. That's why I keep saying about the like, where I say this of, if you like this, give it a thumbs up. But I do also say, if you're not liking it, go and do something else, because I'm not desperate for subscribers. I'm not desperate for money. Oh, Sarah tells me, oh, more, oh, all right then. All right, okay, well, fair enough. All right, I'll get off my high horse then. But the point is, I'm not about getting you all here and just hanging you. If you don't like it, go and do something less interesting, more interesting. I know I'm not that interesting. That's that thing in the back of my head is doing it again. Really good question. Thank you, RC Scout. Am I? Okay. Oh, cheers, people, because this is tough, actually. Jen Broderick Anderson. Oh, Jen, I like this one. Right. I'm a social introvert. Actually, it leads on nicely from the last one from RC Scale Adventures. I love being with people. If I don't have a YouTube channel, how do I meet people, make friends while traveling? Right, Jen, this is an absolutely fabulous question. So what Jen's saying is this. She's an introvert. In social situations, she's an introvert. And it's kind of like she's saying, it's all right for you, you've got a YouTube channel. It's easier to meet people when you've got a YouTube channel. How do I do it? Well, I'm going to share something that I don't tell many people. And you're going to go, no, you're not. I am also a social introvert. I am a significant introvert. Sarah is kind of an over introvert. That's why there's a camera set up here on her screen. And if I was to turn that on, she would kill me. And I don't mean that figuratively. She would actually kill me. And I know it'd be easy to find she's the one who did the crime because I've already said it, but I don't want to be killed. So I don't want to go down that route. She's overtly an introvert. I am internally a social introvert. How does that manifest itself? And I think like Jen, it's Jen, isn't it? Like Jen, is it this, Jen? Let us know. Email me maybe. Yeah, I'd like to get to know you more because I like people like me. So email me here, Jen, on this. So are you someone, when I was at work and you have to go away to an event where there's lots of colleagues from different offices and you all meet in a room and there's coffee. Yeah, you got the coffee there with the way you have the plunger where you get the coffee, and there's a few sandwiches and some of the cheap biscuits, family circle biscuits on a tray over there, and you all go in there and it's, let's do some networking. I hate that. That's this million times easier than that. So I go in those situations. I will find an excuse to go to the bathroom. I'll find an excuse that phone call, I've got to go outside. I'll do anything other than be in those situations. Hate it. I am a significant introvert. That's why, Jen, I know you. I recognize you. So having a YouTube channel, how does that impact me here? Well, we do not use our YouTube channel as a method of meeting people. So we have met a handful of people through our channel. So I mentioned a couple that we met in Alicante. And in fact, they contacted us, and I have a bit of a vetting process that I'll go through before I meet anyone, not because I think they might kill us. I'm over that now. The only person I'm worried about doing that is Sarah if I turn that camera on. But, not everyone's our cup of tea, are they? It's the same for you. So, we go through a bit of a vetting process. And then really, we've met them. Who else have we met through the channel, Sarah? Through the channel specifically. So through so that's not through that's through Patreon. So I'm not pushing Patreon. Do what you want to do. I don't care. But if you do like us and you want to know us, one thing we've learned is anyone that joins our Patreon are good people. So we've met a few of our Patreons, and we kind of go out of our way to try and meet as many as we can. So somebody called Denise, Reeve, and Rob, who I believe are in this live stream, but many others besides those that we've met of our patrons. But we don't use YouTube to meet people. So what advice would I give you? Well, I'd say think about this is what I'd do if I were you. Now, obviously, me and Sarah are together, so we can be introverts together, and we're quite happy with our own entertainment, really. But what I would do is join a class. So if you enjoy I don't know, what do people do in classes? Sarah, what do people do in classes? Pottery. You enjoy pottery, go to a pottery class. If you go on a walking tour, walking tours are free, so you can go on a walking tour, or you could go on a like a language class or something like that. All of those, reason why I pick those for you is because they're distractions. If I think about when I've had conversations with people, I remember doing a walking tour once in Lisbon before we did YouTube, and got talking to people on that tour. Because you're doing something else, you're doing this, you're focused on that. That's a distraction, and then you can speak to someone and go, "What did he say about that?" Then you have a bit of a conversation. If I was into pottery, which I'm not, but you can do some pottery, which is like this. You do like that, and while you're doing it, you look at the person next to you, oh, that's a nice, what's that you're making there? Oh, that's right. So you can do stuff like that. So what I would say is have a distraction. Another thing that's a good idea would maybe stay in hostels, because hostels are full of single people. Our niece, Georgia, she travels, she's 23 and she's been to so many places, she puts us to shame. And she goes on her own. 23, she was doing it in her 20, before she was 20. I wouldn't call her an extrovert, to be honest, but she goes to these places. She makes friends. Do that. But you are a kindred spirit of mine and Sarah's, actually. Right. Let's do another one. So Sarah's telling me I've got 10 minutes. 10 minutes, everybody, and then this is done. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do with the rest of the questions after this. So P. QWERTY. Where did you come up with that name, QWERTY? It's so interesting. You strike me as someone who's not, you don't like to put a lot of effort in. You just go QUE. Right. In which country are you tax resident? Do you have ISAs or leases as part of your future plan? I'm guessing you have workplace pensions. Have you transferred them to a SIP? So we are tax resident in the UK. We are certainly not tax resident in Spain. So the way tax residency works in Spain specifically is, to be a tax resident, you become an automatic tax resident if you spend more than 183 days here. We will not be spending 183 days in a calendar year in Spain, so that isn't a concern. When I first started traveling, I remember talking to friends saying, how do I maintain my UK tax residency? Because I thought I'd have to prove that I'm tax resident to the UK. It's only more recently I've learned that to be tax resident is to say that I'm going to pay tax there. Believe me, no country needs you really to prove it for them to take money off you. So when you look at primary residence, we don't have a primary residence. This is technically, I guess you would call where we are now, a holiday home. However, what we do have is one of our best friends in the UK is our home address. So whenever we go to the UK, we visit them. We always make a joke when we walk in the front door saying, oh, it's nice going away, but it's lovely coming home again, because that's technically our home. So our post goes there, but we get probably one letter a month. So we do have ISAs because we are UK tax resident. I do have something in a workplace pension. The reason I would have moved it, the reason I've got that is because with one of my previous employers, part of what they they pay me as a cash amount. So there was a investment account and a cash account basically, and the cash account I paid in and they paid in as I was working there, and it grows. Fun thing is, you leave and it continues to grow, and it's I treat it like a bond because it is risk free, because it's basically they increase it in line with inflation every year. So hopefully, Mr. QWERTY, Mr. QWERTY, is your name actually QWERTY? If it is, then someone in your lineage long ago didn't put a lot of effort into stuff. Right. So what are we doing here? 51. I'm going to do one more question from those that came in during the week. Jody Larson. Managing expectation in retirement. I keep thinking we could do it, but the fear of running out of money is still scary. I've loved watching you both, and this is a labour of love, and it shows. Thanks very much. Thank you, Jody. And Jody, thank you, because I know you always comment on our videos. Little thing from me here on that is Sarah and I don't reply to every comment. I read every comment. Sarah will read the ones that I've said she can read because I've got a thick skin. She's got a thinner skin. So she simply doesn't need to get negativity, which you can often get from YouTube. People are nice like that. I've just seen another one that I need to answer here. So I would say, I can't remember the question. So do please leave comments because I do read them. But if I reply to every comment as well, then YouTube does become a job and I have retired. So I don't want that to be the case. So also stick around because at the end there is a free giveaway and a poll. And my producer is going to start working on that poll in a moment as well. So I'm just going to move that across there. So coming back to this question about running out of money, I think I've answered it, Jody. I think I've answered it that don't do too many years. You saw that comment from the guy earlier that's in hospital at the moment because you don't know how much time you got left, and know that you have got you will have your own controls and guide rails in place automatically. So if you think the numbers work, then respectfully, because I do not provide financial advice, but go for it, and if you want to email me because you are one of our OG commenters, email me on the email address here and let's get into a conflab on it. I would happily help you there. Right, I'm going to answer one more comment because I've just spotted this is one of our Patreons. The Groovy Adventures of Jeff and Sonny. Why would I use something like Safety Wing versus my credit card travel insurance and self-insure for low-cost medical in other countries? Really good question. So self-insure, let's do it in a couple of parts. Self-insure for low medical cost in other countries. Yeah, do it. That's exactly what we do as well. So for example, if you've seen on our channel that I had a load of medical treatment in Malaysia a year or so ago, I didn't put any of that through insurance. I was insured, but the costs of insurance in places like Malaysia and the quality of insurance in places like Malaysia is, I don't want to become a burden to an insurance company. I used to work many years ago for a loss adjusting firm. And what can happen is you can say, I have a right to put this through on insurance. Yes, you do. But insurance companies also have a right to reject you in the future. And they also have a right to increase your premiums. So if you say, well, I'm in Malaysia, I've had this issue, you put that through. And then I had another issue in Greece and you put that through. Come a time when Safety Wing or any other insurer will say, we're putting your prices up. And that will, if you're traveling for a long time, that could be an issue for you. So we do self-fund all of that, Jeff and Sonny. Why Safety Wing versus credit card travel? Simply, if you look at the T's and C's on your credit card travel, often it will say your travel must commence and end in your home country. So if you're turning the insurance on in another country, you can't do it. And they will often only insure you for up to 3 months. So check T's and C's. If they're not in your T's and C's, do it. I'm not saying you should you should use Safety Ring. If you want to use Safety Ring, there's a link below, blah, blah, blah. Right, hopefully that's helpful. Right, look at the time. So let's just move on to this. I said there's a poll and a giveaway. Sarah, hit the button on the poll. Sarah's sending a poll out. We have no idea how this works, none whatsoever. But if you see a poll, would you mind answering it? And Sarah will end the poll. There's a button there to end the poll, isn't there?
Yeah.
So at some point in like 5 minutes, Sarah will end the poll. And it's just something insightful for us. You'll see that in the comments. In the meantime, I said there's a giveaway. And I want to be able to help people. So if you'd like a private chat with me about any subject that you're contemplating around retirement, one lucky or more likely unlucky viewer has got the opportunity of getting an hour to just chat with me on a thing like this. No one else involved. Let me get rid of that thing on the bottom. No one else involved in it, just you and me. It's like you're chatting to a friend, because if you're watching my channel, I see you as a friend. And so you got safety. Do you know what I mean? You can safely chat to me about this stuff because I'm not judgmental. I've seen a lot of things on a Facebook group recently where people go, I ain't got any money and I want to retire and I feel terrible. Anything like that. So one lucky subject out here has the ability of having that conversation with me, only for the live stream, because I'm going to cut this out in the video when it comes out. How do you do it? Well, I'm going to ask you a question and you've got a minute to put your answer in the comments below. Okay. The question is, we thought long and hard about this because we thought it's got to be something which has got to be closest to, so we can pick the winner, right? So we said, well, what about distance between Paris and New York? Well, you can Google that, can't you? So the question is this: Sarah and I, and if you want to know who Sarah is, she is, just a minute, this person here. So Sarah and I met 26 years ago. 26 years ago. We're both from the UK and we come from two different places in the UK. Now, what I did is I did a thing where I looked at how far it is as the crow flies from where Sarah was born and where I was born. Put in the comments now how close it is, how close together we lived. On the other side of this bit of paper is the answer. Closest to this wins. So put your answers in the comments and let's see. And only answer this, by the way, if you want an hour with me. If you don't want an hour with me, you win it. You've got to have an hour with me. And that's going to be awkward for both of us because I'm socially awkward at the best of times, as I've already explained. So we're both going to sit here and I'll go, do you like football? Oh, yeah, I like football too. Have you got a favourite team? Yeah, I've got a favourite team as well. It's going to be really awkward. So only enter this if you want to have that hour. We can talk about something fun or not fun. You know, if you're worried about something to do with your retirement. So how far away did Sarah and I live? Where we were born, basically. Are there answers coming in, Sarah?
Yeah, there is.
Oh, is there? Oh, don't put it in kilometers. Oh man. Oh, we should have thought in miles. Sorry. If you put it in kilometers, could you change it? Yeah, Sarah, Google the kilometers, will you? Right, there's a few. Right, and if you don't want to talk to me, could you just retract it? So if like RC Scale Adventures, who said if you don't want it, just say we don't want to have a chat, Neil. There's no traveling man's here. There's no one I'd like to talk to less than you. That's absolutely fine. Right. So I think I can see who's the closest. I'm going to do the cutoff in a moment, and the take on my screen. It takes a little while for the comments to get through. Now, if you are successful, I will know from your thing here. Would you do me a favor and please email me here to say I won? Okay, just say I won. I will email back and we'll fix it up. Okay, right. And I'm not going to say who the winner is now because there may be a couple more that come in. I don't think there are. I think I know who the winner is. Oh no, there's a couple more coming in. Right. Shall I do it? I'll tell you who the winner is. The winner of this, or the winning distance, is, are we ready? I think I'm going to call it, Sarah. I'm going to call it. Can you see who the winner is, Sarah? I think I can. Can you? I think the winner is somebody called Andy. 71.2 miles apart is where Sarah and I both were born. So Andy, this fella here said 70 miles. Andy, do me a favor, email me live@2gorome.com. You and I are going to have a chat, mate. And I look forward to it. We can talk about what football team you support if you want. Don't make it too awkward though. So let's, got any questions about retirement? Anyone else got any questions? Do please put them in the email live@2gorome.com. Really, really hope you've enjoyed this because this has been 2 hours of fun for me. As long as you all enjoyed it. If not, it's been horrific. Is there anything I need to say before I go?
Just look at the stars.
Look at the stars.
Just look through there.
Right, these are others. Oh, anything that was asked here or any other question not got to, I will answer those in the coming weeks on 2Go Rome as I walk around Spain and show you lovely, lovely Spain. So your question, if you put it in the live stream or if you submitted it in the last week, I will get to it. No one submit any more questions because assuming this has been useful, what I'll do is in a few weeks' time, I'll do another session where I say, send me questions. So we'll batch it and we'll do it that way. Sound good? Really, really hope you've enjoyed this. So I think all I've got to do now is thank you all for being here. You are all totally wonderful people. I need to get rid of that. And I need to get rid of that. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. If you haven't liked, like it. If you want to support us, Patreon, super thanks, do whatever you want to do. Needless to say, though, I just want to say to you now, I will see you next time. Bye for now.